Mishnah of Purim starts off, or la arba'a asha, or lamed of the 14th. And this or of the 14th, it doesn't say what month, it says the or of the 14th. And I think this relates to Purim, which is the 14th of Adar. And in a certain sense, this 14th day in Adar, which is Dalet Yud, for the hay, comprised of the hay, represents this Yom Rishon, this Anfang, this origin day, which is 30 days before Pesach. And the original Purim was on Pesach. And this is a very special thing here because on Daf Daled of Pesachim, the Talmud, they talk about if you hear about a velos, a death of 30 days afterwards, what do? You celebrate it for one day. And this is the lamed in the or le of the 14th, or lamed. And in some Masechtas, they even start the Mishnah with a lamed or. See, 30, and then the or. Remember that or is always Ein Sof, it's the same gematria. And this 30 relates to Avilos, but it also relates to the Zelem, which leaves 30 days before. And it also relates to the Ruach level, because the Ruach leaves 30 days after the death. And that's the Sholoshim period. The 30 days, so Pesach, Passover, actually comes in what I'm going to call a Pesach sandwich. The Pesach sandwich has bread on it 30 days before and then 30 days after. And so Pesach actually stands in the middle here between Purim, 30 days before, and a Pesach Sheni, which is 30 days after Pesach. And so the Pesach sandwich is right there in between. Remember, there's a possibility also of a Purim, two Purims, a Purim Rishon and a Purim Sheni, a Purim Katan and a Purim and a Purim. And so these are 30-day periods which reflect this lamed. Remember that the lamed also always reflects, especially to me, the Nazir, because this is the Nazirin oath of 30 days, which relates to the Yeh, Yud Hey, Yeh Kodesh. So this whole thing here relates to 30-day periods. And remember, you're supposed to start studying for a holiday or 30 days before it. So on Pesach, you've been studying since Purim, the laws of Pesach. And then on Pesach, you're studying the laws of Pesach Sheni. These are 30-day periods in between. And the two 30-day periods comprise a 60, which is a samach. And for me, the whole idea of Pesach is the pei, which is the head between the knees, which is how the Pesach lamb is constructed when it's being roast. Then the samach is the 60. Those are the 60 days of 30 days before, 30 days after. And then for me, the bris of that occurs, that's a parallel to the Pesach lamb, because the Pesach lamb is a communal bris. So this is Pesach, that's the het that I transpose into a hay because of the bris. And when you do that, you have pei, samach, and instead of a het, you have a hay. So you have pei, samach, hay. And so if I do the complete gematria of that, I get pei is 81, samach is 120, that's 201, and hay is 6, that's 207, and that's the equivalent of or. And so that's pei, samach, hay. And that's the way I write Pesach. This is really deep here, because it relates to the entire thing of the bris. The bris is the individual commitment to a Jew, and the Pesach of a Jew to God, and the Pesach is the communal aspect. I also relate the wine. In the first Mishnah, they say, oh, you have to go and check with the nair. Remember that the nair is again is 250, but its full spelling is 606, which is atzmutz. So the nair represents the atzmutz, because it represents the individual doing the searching, not the sun and moon, so to speak, of the or, which are celestial. And where do we go? We go into a wine cellar. And never forget that you're supposed to be drunk on wine on Purim. You see? That's one of the great secrets here. So it relates to Purim, and on Hillel's, you're supposed to look at the two hetzons, the outside layers of the barrels, which are the highest, because the outside layers are the two pieces of the bread of the Pesach sandwich. And these outside layers, to me, one before and one after. So the underneath Pesach bread, so to speak, is Purim, because that came before, and then Pesach, and then the top layer is Pesach Sheni. So there are other things here also that relate to this. You see? Because to me, you see, it's what I call also a Shabbos sandwich. You know, when they tell you that you have to have, observe Shabbos for 2 Shabbosai. It's Shabbos, and the days in between. So this idea of a threeness in a sandwich also relates to the letter Aleph. This sandwich is a yud on top, a yud on the bottom, and a vav in between. So it has 3 components. So the one has 3. And this is the way, I look at the Mishnah here, as to read it symbolically as it's written. But, everybody's symbolically how it's written. This is the Peshat, or of the 14th. But that's what the Mishnah says. It doesn't say or of the 14th of Nisan, so to speak. It says or of the 14th. And so and remember that the Pesach, that the Purim, the original Purim was Pesach. So there's a distinct, direct link. And then when they talk about the Avilos and stuff, on Daf 4, they talk about who died, and they talk about relationships. And the ultimate relationship for me is between Mordecai and Esther. What was their relationship? And this has a direct relation to Purim in general. Obviously to Purim in general, but that Purim in general has a direct relationship to Pesach. So to understand Pesach, you have to understand Purim. And that's why it's the 14th. Because the 14th, it's the Anfang. And even in the 14th, there's 2 days. Even in Pesach, in Purim, there are 2 days. There's the 14th and then the 15th for those that live in walled cities. And this is a reversal because those are theoretically a higher thing. But on the 15th here, that's the beginning. And that beginning is a walled city. And that walled city could be the beginning, be the bet in the Torah. It could be, and it is the bet related to the Aleph. And the Aleph is the Dalet and the Yud that comprise the Hey.